Welcome back. In the previous video we looked at a simple application that printed Hello World on our phone screen. What I'd like to do in this demonstration is look in a little bit more detail at the blocks editor and the color of our text box. So essentially to get the words Hello World changing color, alternating between black and red. To achieve this, we're going to need a new component. That component is the clock. If we drag the clock over from the palette and drop it into the viewer, you can see it appears here underneath the viewer as a non-visible component. This is going to be, we're going to tie this up with our text label so that we can set a condition that the color changes between or alternates between two colors for a duration, a time duration. So this is our component in the components section. The first thing I want to do is just rename it to something, again, just to use a naming convention that will make it easier for us to locate when we return to the blocks editor. So I call this one text clock. Click OK. Renamed here. It's renamed here. And the properties are here are set. Timer always fires, timer enabled, and the timer interval. Now the timer interval is obviously going to be important. This is currently set to 1000 milliseconds, so 1 second, and we'll leave it for that for the time being. At this point, I'll just pull these properties up here. You can see that the color is, the default text color at the moment is black. So when it's printed out on the screen, it's printed black on a white background. If we return to the blocks editor now, pull the simulator up. Okay, so here in the blocks editor on the left hand side, we've got some built-in definitions. These definitions are all here. These are the basic programming blocks that we'll use to create our program, to manipulate any components that we add, or objects in our phone screen. In the My Blocks section, if you have a look here, we've got screen one text clock, which is the component that we've just dragged in and renamed text clock, and the text label, which was the one that we created in the last demonstration. So that's this text block here that we've created, this bit here. It's a label. Okay. What we want to try and do is think about how we're going to achieve converting or changing the color of the text. It's a text label. So if we scroll down to the text label programming blocks, we have a text label dot text color 2. So it sets the value of the component property. So we can text label dot text color 2. If we go back to the built-in and change the color to red. Okay, nothing's happened at the moment. That's because this block isn't actually tied into the program. The program is default to black, and we haven't really issued this command to the label, to the object. And plus we're actually trying to alternate the color between red and black. So if I introduce the text clock object, right at the top here, there's this green component, and you can see that the shape of it. Obviously, we're going to click something inside of this. This is kind of the procedure or a process. So when the text underscore clock timer, and so basically every 1000 milliseconds, every second, this will run if we drag and drop this in. So when do, so drop the text label, text color, and you can see now the hello world has changed to red. I can't, if I copy and paste this, Control C, Control V, and drop that underneath, if you see, if I quickly drop this down to black, there's a little arrow that appears there, and we can change this color, change the property. It's changed to black, and so what's happening is every second this procedure runs, it changes to red and immediately changes to black, and we don't actually see anything happening. What we're going to do is we're going to have to create a little statement to let the object know that we want to check basically what color it is, and then change the color to a different color. It's a simple control we're going to introduce. It's the if else. So if, and then we need a test, then we're going to say change the color to red, otherwise change it to black. So obviously this kind of test we're looking for, it's a math, we have to do a simple math equals, so if our text color in my blocks, our text label, and if you have a look there, the text label dot text color, you can drop that in there. So if our text label text color is black, so if I pull in the color and drop it in there, and straight away our application has started flashing red and black. So the way that's working is if else, test the text color, if it's black, change it to red. Then it doesn't need to do this next step because that was true, so it's done that. If it was false, it's red, and therefore we don't want to do this one, we want to do this one. And simple but effective. If we wanted to change the timer duration, we can do this in the properties, or we could adjust it again inside of our blocks editor. What I'd like to show you now is a different way of achieving this same result, only with a more defined method of programming. I'm going to introduce some new definitions and a variable. So in the built-in tab, go to definitions and drag in a variable to your blocks editor. We're going to rename the variable to something that we can reference, something we can refer to in our program. So let's call it just text color. Okay, and we have to define it. So it's saying that it's got an empty socket at the moment. So we're going to add a color. So we've defined our variable called text color, and we've assigned it a color. The next process again is to look at the text clock and drop that in there. So we now have our 1 second timer. We need our control, our if else statement. That's still relevant. This time though, our test is going to be slightly different, a slight modification. The math is still the same, we still want the equals, but this time we are referring to a global variable, and that, if you look into the My Definitions folder now, or in the tab, go to My Definitions, we have got two new blocks which have been populated. This is the variable that we've just created, text color. So now we're going to reference that variable in our if else statement. So if else test, if the text color equals, and then again we're just going to drop the color in there. We've added the logic if else statement to our block. If the global value of text color is equal to black, then what we'll need to do is set the global variable for text color to red. Then we are going to, if I just copy and paste, Control C, Control V, change it to black. Okay, nothing's happening. What we have to do is create a procedure, and we're going to call that procedure from our timer every time it executes, every 1 second it executes. So go back to the built-in, go to your definitions drawer, and we want this one here, the procedure, an argument. So to procedure, let's give the procedure a name. Call this one color text, and this is where we're going to now change the color of the label by set text label dot text color to, and we're going to call the global variable for color. Okay, once that's done, if you look in the My Blocks tab and your My Definitions folder, there's a new block called color text. That's our procedure that we just created. So let's drag that in and drop it into our text color timer block, and now you can see. And this is a much more structured approach to developing your programs. It's a logical approach to programming, and makes it easier to call on different variables and change variables from within other objects.